Each week we tell the stories of people on death row. Tonight, we want to tell you about Rodney Reed. He has spent more than 20 years on death row in Texas. Now, Rodney, who's a black man, as you can see, he was convicted of killing a white woman that he had an intimate relationship with back in 1996. It's a crime he says he did not commit. And since his trial, substantial evidence has surfaced pointing to Rodney's innocence. Based on that evidence, the governor of Texas granted Reed an indefinite stay of execution just 5 days before his execution date back in 2019. As of now, Rodney's execution is on hold, but he remains in solitary confinement on death row. To talk about Rodney Reed's case is Jane Pucher, his defense attorney and also staff attorney for the Innocence Project. Welcome, Jane. We appreciate you joining us. Jane, Rodney spent the last 2 decades on death row for a crime he says from the beginning he said that he did not commit this. Walk us through this case.
Yes, from day one, that's exactly what he said, and what seems to be borne out by all the evidence that has been developed in post-conviction. So a woman named Stacey Stites was found murdered on the side of a road in Bastrop County, Texas. The initial suspect in the case, and the suspect for many, many months into the case, was her fiance, a man named Jimmy Fennell, who was a police officer who had very violent tendencies. There were lots of indications in the police records that existed at the time that he was abusive towards her, controlling, manipulative, and lots of reasons to strongly consider him as the suspect in the case. For months, the police looked at him. He failed multiple polygraph examinations. He did a lot of very suspicious things in the aftermath of her murder, including emptying his bank account and giving false statements to different investigators. But the police stopped looking into him entirely when they discovered that 3 intact sperm cells, spermatozoa, were found inside of Miss Stites' body at her autopsy. And when they eventually did DNA testing on that spermatozoa, it came back to Rodney Reed. Now, Rodney's reason for his sperm being inside of her is that the two of them were having a consensual sexual affair, tryst. As you pointed out at the top of this segment, Mr. Reed is a black man. Miss Stites was a young white woman in a small Texas town in the late 90s, and she was engaged to a white police officer. So it's no surprise that they were keeping their affair a secret. There were people who knew about it. Some of those people did come forward at Rodney's trial, but the really remarkable thing is that in post-conviction over the past 2 decades, the number of people who have come forward to say that they knew that Rodney and Stacey were sleeping together. These are people who were friends with Miss Stites, who have no reason to help Mr. Reed whatsoever. The state built its case on the false premise that sperm cannot survive intact for more than 24 hours. Because Mr. Fennell, her fiance, gave an account of Miss Stites' whereabouts in the 24 hours before she was killed, they made it impossible for his story to be true. They used scientific testimony to make it seem like what he was saying, which is that they had had sex about 2 days before, couldn't have happened. What we have learned in post-conviction, including at a recent evidentiary hearing, is that that is just not true. It is false testimony. The science shows very clearly that sperm survive intact for days, sometimes 5, 6 days, even a week. And so Rodney's account that he had sex with Stacey about 48 hours beforehand is entirely consistent with the scientific evidence. And what we've also learned in post-conviction is that there were numerous people, including Miss Stites' friends, who knew that Rodney and Stacey were sleeping together.
Okay, Jane, this is heavy stuff, pretty detailed. Do you really think this comes down to race, though? I got to be honest. Is that really the factor here that put this man away and they were about to kill him?
I think it's a big part of it. I mean, Rodney was convicted by an all-white jury. The state very clearly at trial argued throughout, including in closing argument, that there is no way on earth that a nice girl like Stacey, a nice white girl like Stacey, would have been sleeping with a person like Rodney, meaning a black man, and made it seem like his story, his account of what was going on, that they were seeing each other, they were two young people, sleeping together and having fun, just couldn't be possible because the facts of the world would not allow something like that. And instead of admitting that, a grave, grave mistake was made here, instead of recognizing that the person who was the initial suspect in this case, somebody who would go on as an active police officer to sexually assault and kidnap somebody while acting as a police officer in 2008, instead of recognizing that he is the likely person who did this, the state continues to insist that Rodney, who had no motive to harm Ms. Stites, was the one who did this instead.
So in 2019, he actually came within 5 days of being put to death. How scary. And then the Texas Court of Appeals indefinitely stayed his execution. So is it normal for them to make that call so close to the actual execution date?
It happens, unfortunately, and obviously, as we know, sometimes it doesn't happen at all. Sometimes the execution goes forward, and people who are innocent are never brought to court to have their moment to clear their name, and the irrevocable thing that is the death penalty happens and takes their life. So thankfully for Rodney, he was spared with just 5 days left until his execution was scheduled, but it was an absolutely terrifying time for him and for his family. And to be clear, it's still a terrifying time. There is a stay currently. We had an evidentiary hearing in July where we were able to bring forward a robust amount of evidence pointing to Mr. Reed's innocence. We believe very clearly, but it's going to be in the hands of the Court of Criminal Appeals eventually to decide if they think that's enough to overturn Rodney's conviction. So we are waiting to see, and we will hopefully have an answer to that in the coming months ahead. But this is the thing when we speak about the ultimate punishment of the death penalty, particularly when you're speaking about people who are factually innocent. It can come very close, and sometimes the relief that is needed to stop this machine of death doesn't come into fruition, and we lose people.
It's so hard to imagine. Jane, you talked about how the state's entire case against Rodney was built on faulty science, and the state's own forensic scientists, they've actually since admitted to making crucial errors in their testimony. So can you tell us, what were their mistakes?
Sure. At trial, there were multiple witnesses who came forward to testify that, as I said before, sperm can only survive intact, meaning whole with the heads on, for a very short period of time. And the experts said that, and that was repeated by the state to make it factually impossible for Rodney to have had sex with her about 2 days before. That is false testimony. That is not true. It's not supported by the scientific literature now or in 1996, 97, 98, when this case was being prosecuted and brought to trial. That was known to be incorrect then. The fact that sperm survived for days, and that's a regular occurrence, means that Rodney's defense that he was saying then and is saying now is entirely scientifically possible, whereas the state was arguing it wasn't. The state also argued incredibly, because there is no basis in science to do this, that Ms. Stites was sexually assaulted at the moment that she was being strangled to death. It's a very graphic image, a very graphic thing to repeat. But that was an argument that they made and repeated. Graphic. Very graphic in closing argument.
So Jane,
there is no science to support that. Yes.
You actually talked to him, though. I mean, he's on death row. You what does he say? When last did you talk to him?
Spoke to him last week. Speak to him again, hopefully at the end of this week. You mentioned that at the beginning of the segment that he is in isolation, and he is. He has almost no contact with anybody from his family, especially with COVID. His access to the phone is even more limited than it is normally. But thankfully, he is allowed one 30-minute legal phone call a week. So I am able to speak with him every week and check in with him. He's doing okay. He's been in there since 1987. He's been since he got arrested.
How can somebody be doing okay with this hanging over their head?
He is an incredibly strong person. That's all I can say. He has a wonderful family who stands with him. He has hundreds, thousands of supporters around the country and around the world who know that he's innocent and who believe in him. And I think that he relies on their strength. And he has overcome and survived so much since the late 90s, and he just keeps taking one day at a time and knows he has a lot of people behind him.
Well, I'm glad to hear he has support like that. Well, thank you so much for sharing this story. Defense lawyer and staff attorney for the Innocence Project, Jane Pucher, we appreciate your time.